up there, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine your brain. Imagine your brain. Imagine your mind, not just your brain. And I want you to picture it as if it's a museum of all of the things that have ever happened to you, all of the relationships that you have. Perhaps there's an entire section of the museum devoted to your partner or your children or your faith. And now I want you to imagine that when it comes time to show someone something of your past, that you are both the museum curator and also the museum tour guide. That when you're telling someone about your past experiences, you take them by the hand or with a clipboard and you walk them over to the exhibit that's relevant for that experience, and you show them the exhibit. You show them what has happened. You tell them the story. Whether it's small things like how when you went to the gas station today, the first 3 gas pumps you went to were broken, or whether these are big things, core memories, foundational narratives for your life. Now I want you to imagine that as the museum curator, you know all of these exhibits. Sometimes you don't fully remember what's in each one, but if you just walk over to it and examine it again, you would reflect and remember. But as the museum curator, you also know about those items that are not on exhibit. Those items that dwell in the basement or in the wing of the museum with a door that says authorized personnel only. I want you to think about some of the things that might be behind that door. Those items that you yourself don't even show. Not only do you not show it to the people who are touring the museum with you, but perhaps you have put them somewhere where you don't even have to go. We'll call this the basement of your museum. Acknowledge that there are things down there, even if you don't really remember what they are, even if you haven't been down there in a while, even if maybe you go down for some of the things that are down there, but there are other things that are down there that have 3 locked doors with different keys and different passcodes to get into, those things that are really deep. You don't need to go to those places right now. Just acknowledge that they are there, because they are there for all of us. Now you can go back up to the first floor. You can walk out of the museum. You can open your eyes. This exercise is all about acknowledging that we are warehouses and storehouses of our experiences. And we can go into our museums and we put together exhibits based on the relevant information and data that go into those experiences. But we also have basements to our museums where we keep artifacts that are not on display. Sometimes these artifacts are broken. They're pulled apart. We know that it used to be an ancient hammer or whatever the metaphor works for you, or a piece of art, or a 1905 or I don't know what year Ford made the Model T, but you know what I mean. We know what it used to be. We can see all the parts and we know how they could go together. But maybe somebody else looking at it would just see a puzzle to be put together. We have to acknowledge that these things exist in our minds. And the truth is, these things can have a deep effect on us. The only way to get through it is to go unlock those doors in the basement, grab all those pieces, bring them up, and build an exhibit out of them. That's the truth. It's a hard truth. Lament is terrible. I didn't say it was going to be easy. I just said it was going to work. It's hard. It's hard work. You literally have to go into your subconscious, your basement. You have to bring it into the museum exhibits, your prefrontal cortex, and you have to reassemble it. You have to narrativize it. That's what you have to do. You have to create a story out of it. And once you create a story out of it, where you know the end of the story is that you survived, then you realize, oh my goodness, as horrible as that was, and don't take anything away from how bad it was bad. As horrible as that was, I survived. I don't need to freak out when I see a headlamp anymore. I don't need to lose my collective mind when I hear a dentist drill. I don't need to fall to pieces when I smell a certain type of cologne, because at some point I have narrativized that experience, and I've seen that I conquered it. Jesus says it this way. Last slide. The truth will set you free. We are in a time where people don't want truth. We don't want truth about our history, but you know what we don't want truth about either? Our history. Just like Israel, if we are going to survive, nay, thrive, you're going to have to go down into the basement. You're going to have to find some scraps of stuff that you don't want to find. Maybe you need to do that with me. Maybe you need to do that with your spouse if they have the emotional resources to do that. Maybe you need to do that with a licensed or trained therapist. I don't know who you need to do it with. Maybe you just need to do it with God in a journal. I don't know. But at some point, you're going to have to go. You're going to have to put those pieces back together and put up an exhibit. Because if you don't, you will not thrive as Israel thrived post-exile. We are going to have to bring the stuff up from the basement, put it on display, maybe not for anyone else to see, but at least for us to see, and turn those repressed traumatic experiences, or I should even say pieces of experiences, into narrative memory. By putting that lament into words. You name it, you look at it, you create a story out of it, and then you can be free of it. But without the truth, you will not be free. You will always be nervous. You will always be scared. You will always be anxious. There is no amount of repression that ever will get that thing out of the basement without bringing it up the front stairs and putting up an exhibit. Amen.